everyone. I wanted to make a different kind of video today explaining about 2022 because a lot of things happened and a lot of cool things happened as well. So I'm gonna start and do this video in chronological order. So starting from the beginning, so in January 2022, we took a trip to Mallorca. It was a business trip and we were attending appointments in Mallorca for visas, which actually crossed over onto my birthday. So I got to miss school on my birthday and was in Mallorca. It was cool having a trip out of school holiday time, but at the same time, this was my last year of school and I had my exams coming up in summer of last year, but it all worked out fine in the end. So then in February, I entered a competition that was hosted by Elton John on Instagram. And the competition was to play or sing a cover of Cold Heart, his new song at the time. And I did mine on my violin. And here's the video that I sent. And basically you had to make a remix on Instagram of you playing alongside Elton. And I obviously did with my violin. And at the beginning of March, I found out that I was one of 2 winners, and Elton personally selected me and another person to win tickets to his tour. A couple days later, David Furnish, Elton John's husband, actually privately messaged me on Instagram and said that Elton really loved my video and to keep shining your beautiful light, Holly. I'm such a big Elton fan. And I was so happy that I was one of 2 winners for the competition. And then still at the beginning of March, just a couple days after this, we took another trip out, but this time not to Mallorca, but to Ibiza. We decided that we wanted to try out living in Ibiza. We knew we wanted to try out living somewhere else, and we found that we had more friends and a lot more connections in Ibiza than Mallorca. So we've been going to Ibiza for about 15 years as a family. And so we decided to apply for visas to move here. We went to Ibiza in March, the start of March. We attended appointments to get visas. We also did this in April, another trip out, all in school time. They're important trips to do with the move, so we weren't just skipping school for no reason. We had been living in the same house for about 15, 16 years, and we wanted to sell it for a while. So we finally sold the house in May, but then we weren't moving until the end of July/August. So we lived at lodges during this time, and they were really awesome lodges and we had a great time there. At the lodge, a lot of things happened. I was street performing every weekend. I also got the chance to play at Wiggy Fest, a festival nearby, and I got to play my violin there and it was so much fun. While we're in the lodges, I also got one of my videos reposted by Bon Jovi. I'd recorded this video in March of me playing Living on a Prayer when busking, and there was a crowd singing along. Here's the video. And I sent it to Bon Jovi on Instagram, not really thinking anything of it. But then Bon Jovi reposted it. I was very happy about this. When we were still at the lodges, I had all of my GCSE exams for school every single day. As soon as we moved into the lodge, day 1 of living in the lodge was the day of my first ever written GCSE exam. I completed all of my exams in May and June, and I actually passed everything. And I got an A+ in music. I was so proud of myself for that. Because we were supposed to go to California in 2020, and then 2020 happened and we couldn't go. And it would be a bit awkward to be flying from Ibiza if we were going to be staying there to California, because we still had vouchers to travel there because we couldn't get there in 2020. So we decided to cram that in as well. In the beginning of July, we arrived in California, and you know what, I'm gonna make a whole other video about our trip to California, just a compilation of videos, because I have so many videos that I want to share, but wouldn't really make sense in this video, and I will have not enough time to explain it all in this video. But basically we had a couple days in Disneyland. We all met my dad's great cousin for the first time, who's actually the guitarist of Zebrahead. If you haven't checked them out already, go check them out, they're a very cool band. And then after the Disneyland days, we headed to Santa Monica, where we stopped there for about a week, and it was so beautiful there. We went to a Dodgers game, we went to the Troubadour where Elton John did his first ever American gig. We went to the Griffith Observatory, we went to Venice Beach and Santa Monica Pier, and of course you've seen me and my friend Lanoy actually performed together on Santa Monica Pier, which was so much fun. And then on the Sunday before we left, literally the last day, again, a bit of a coincidence, always the last day, I met up with Karolina Butsenko and we performed together. This is a coincidence because I also met her on the last day of our last trip to California, and then I performed with her on the last day of our most recent trip to California. Anyway, that was also so much fun. Again, I'm gonna have another video about this soon, but that was a very awesome experience, playing on Santa Monica Pier with Lanoy and Third Street Promenade with Karolina. The performances are both so much fun, and I hope to go back one day and do it all over again because we just had the best time. After the performance with Karolina, it was time to go home the next day, except we didn't really have a home to go to yet, so we flew back to our city where we were living, and we stopped in an apartment. And there was a huge heat wave in the UK at this time, just in middle of July, and there was absolutely no air conditioning, and we had to go and buy some fans and take some fans from family members because it was so hot in there. We really struggled to walk our dog because the heat was in your face. It was like 41 or is it 42 degrees Celsius. You could literally see the heat in front of you. It was very hot. And then it was time to move to Ibiza. After 10 days in this apartment, we left for Ibiza and we drove down to the bottom of the UK, and we stopped in 2 places, one for 2 nights and then one for another night. We drove through the Eurotunnel and got to France, drove all the way through France, all the way through Spain. Actually, we drove from the bottom of France to Denia in Spain all in one day. It was very tiring. And then we had the ferry crossing the next day from Denia to Ibiza. We spent the next 3 months here in Ibiza, and it was so much fun. We had family over twice. I did lots of performances with my violin over there, and a music video for Glimpse of Us. And we had lots of friends over there too, and we had a great time. But there were some things that we were starting to miss about England. Street performing is my life, and I really, really missed busking with my violin. And my brother missed his school, my dad missed his work. My dad does radio and voiceovers, and he missed working in the studios they have in England and his friends from work. And my mum missed walking our dog Teaser in England where it was cooler. It was so hot in Ibiza last year that we could barely walk our dog. We had a stroller and we'd push him to somewhere where there was some shade and just stop there for about half an hour and then push him back. It was very, very hot last year. And we all missed family who live in England. As much as we are having a great time there, we decided that we didn't want to stay here forever, so we decided to go back. But not in any way. We decided to go back in style. So we didn't decide to go back in the way that we came. First we thought, well, we could go back through the ferry in Rotterdam because my brothers wanted to go to Amsterdam for a while. If we're crossing through Spain and France and then going up to the Netherlands, my parents have always wanted to go to Switzerland. I always wanted to go to Austria. It's so close, we might as well just go to Italy as well. And I also have a German exchange student who lives in Kiel, and she came to visit us and stay with us in 2019, but I was supposed to go over there in 2020 and never got to. So I thought, well, we have to go to Germany because I have to go and see my friend and finish the exchange. But then where she lived in Kiel, it was only about 40 minutes to an hour away from Denmark. So we thought, why not go to Denmark as well? We had a Halloween party at our friend's restaurant a couple of days before Halloween, and on the 30th of October, we left Ibiza. We did the ferry crossing back over to Denia, and then we drove up to Valencia, and then we stopped in Sitges, and then we drove up to France, stopped in Montpellier, and that was beautiful. And then we stopped in Cannes, and then we got to see the hotel where Elton filmed I'm Still Standing, and as you know, I'm a huge Elton fan.
And there he is. So that's the Carlton entrance as it is now. And let's split the screen. There we go, there he is walking up to the Carlton entrance.
Obviously it's under renovation right now until spring 2023.
But there it is behind us. How do you feel, Holly?
Very happy.
Yeah.
And then we stopped in a very cute town called Asti when we got to Italy. We were going to go to Turin, but it was a bit too far out. We'd be travelling too much because we didn't want to travel as much as we did when we came because it was very tiring. And we wanted to actually explore Europe this time instead of just driving straight down into Ibiza. Asti was so cute, the little town that we stopped in. And on the night it was raining on the little cobbled streets and it was so cute. And it was actually the first country that we could put our coats on. We were very excited because it had been so hot in Ibiza and Spain and France.
We're so happy. We've got coats.
We've got our coats on.
Never thought I'd be so happy to say we've got coats on.
Can't actually see through this camera, but we've got our coats on.
Driving through the mountains in Italy was so breathtaking. They were huge, the mountains. And we were just driving in a tiny little car and there were these huge lorries driving next to us. It was quite scary, but it was very pretty. And then after we left Asti, we went to Switzerland and we drove to Lugano, and there was a beautiful lake there in Lugano. Everything was so expensive, but we found this little restaurant that was a bit cheaper, and the woman was so friendly there. It was such a cute little place, and even she had a dog as well, so our dog got to meet him. In the next morning in Switzerland, my dad went on a walk with my dog and found this violin at a flea market. The video is up on my YouTube channel already. This violin is about 100 years old, so I recommend you go and see my video that I've already made on this violin. It was very beautiful seeing the sunrise over the lake in Lugano. The next country that we went to was Austria. We stopped in a very small town called Dornbirn, and it was so cute. We were going to go to Innsbruck, but again we didn't want to travel too far, and Dornbirn looked absolutely adorable, so we decided to stop here. And on the way to Dornbirn from Lugano, we had to travel through the Swiss Alps, and it was so amazing and beautiful. I think all of our favourite moments from the trip was driving through the Alps and from Switzerland to Austria. It was just so pretty. We actually stopped at a petrol station in the middle of the Alps and everybody went inside and I was just stood there with my dog and he just kept sniffing the fresh air. The air was so fresh. We also ate some snow from the Alps. We arrived in Austria and it rained, but it was really pretty when it rained. We decided to take some food back instead of going out to eat, and we watched a film in the hotel room. Our hotel room was a little chalet and it was all wooden and it was very cool. And then we drove through Germany. We went to Nuremberg where we took the violin to get looked at by the luthier and it was fixed up. The link to the video about the violin is in the description below. Nuremberg was so beautiful, except the fact that my dad set off the fire alarms in the whole hotel the next morning by cooking some bacon.
And Chris is cooking breakfast.
I am indeed.
A few moments later.
You've just seen the fire engine on the video. That was me.
Yeah.
Evacuated the whole hotel.
About five fire engines came in.
Bacon.
We have a whole playlist on my family's vlog channel if you want to go and check out all of these videos. The link to the channel and the playlist will be in the description. After Nuremberg, we went to Leipzig, and then Hamburg, and then Kiel, where I met my friend. And then we went up to Denmark and we went to Arbenra. Arbenra was so cool and quirky. All of the buildings, they looked like a movie set. It was so cool. We also went in a record store for the first time and I found a lot of Elton records. So you probably know how that went. On the way back down from Denmark, we stopped in Bremen, where there was a huge square and the huge buildings were very pretty. And then the final stop was Amsterdam, and now we stopped here for 3 days. And it was time to kind of chill out before we went back to England because we'd just been travelling for 2 weeks. So we stopped in Amsterdam for a couple of days and there were lots of fun. On the last day we headed to Rotterdam in the evening to catch the ferry back to England, and on the 16th of November 2022 we arrived back in England. We stopped in an Airbnb for the next 2 weeks. During this time I actually got the chance to become Mirabelle from Encanto, and I played on stage at a Christmas light switch on. The ending was all Encanto themed, so it was very cool. I got to play It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas, the James Bond theme tune, and of course We Don't Talk About Bruno. We moved into our new house at the beginning of December, just in time for Christmas. And then we got ill over Christmas. But overall it was such a fun year, and I'm so glad that we did everything we did, and I don't regret any part of it. I'll have another video up soon as just a montage and compilation of California clips, because there were so many videos that I took there and I really want to share them with you all. I hope that you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see more. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.